Welcome to the Checkered Shorts Podcast, a podcast of three fraternity brothers reconnected by their love of IndyCar. Join us for grid-rival IndyCar fantasy talk, predictions for upcoming races, and reactions to race day results and all things IndyCar. Let's go racing! Hello, welcome back, Checkered Shorts. We are all the way up to episode number 34. Pat's not even going to attempt it any longer. I get no. So we are coming back a little late. It's been summertime and wrapping up summertime for a couple educators, and landscape business is in full swing. So tied up, got a little busy. It's the first time we had a chance to get together. But we're talking post-race Laguna, and we'll jump right in. Impressions, thoughts of the race in general.
Once again, just proved how beautiful that place is. The racing isn't always great, but the scenery and what I like is watching that speed on those turns, and especially in the corkscrew, like just a gorgeous racing facility, as Buxton said at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and it holds. I think we talked about it. It holds more than IndyCar. Obviously, it holds a lot of other motorsports series with the motorcycles, and IMSA I think might even go there. So super cool. As far as the race goes, unfortunately, nobody's fault really, but it was a snoozer because of Palou. He's just really good there, man.
Laguna is his place. Like, he is so dominant there. Like, the caution's the only thing that kept it even close. Like, I think it'd have been a 30 to 40 second gap if the cautions hadn't flown. Like, and honestly, he's good all the road courses. Like, we've had 5 this year, and he's won 4 of them, and the only one he didn't win was Mid-Ohio when he goofed and let Dixon by him. So
for me, the only excitement was watching the corkscrew. They could have left a camera there the whole day. When they come down and dive into there and their right front comes off the ground, and you're just thinking, man, you got to commit to that. And I know some of it's muscle memory because they practice. But it is still pretty heart-pounding just to see it, because the way they displayed the elevation change pre-race, and the way they had some pictures on social media, guys standing at the top and looking down, and you get a real perspective of how drastic that fall is. But I found my attention waning at times watching the race, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, to your point about the dips and the valleys, like watching those in-car cameras, those guys just don't know that track's there, but they know that track's there. They can't see it going into that corkscrew. Really, really, really crazy. They had one. I texted you guys, but they had one on New Garden, the in-car camera, and that guy is holding on for dear life in that whole entire moment, or that whole entire segment of the practice, and it makes you realize how good of athletes these dudes are. And Joseph, arguably the most physically fit, but seeing those just drop off, pretty awesome, pretty cool.
Yeah, and knowing that your point that you're looking at is the top of a tree, right? Like, you're not even looking at the track or the ground in the background. You're looking at the top of a tree, which sits just off the side of the track. Like, that's
no other track like it for sure. But Mr. Palou, I think Kevin Lee was on. He said he was on an affiliate over there, and he's like, just put your money on Palou.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Just go ahead and put it. He's like, I probably wouldn't do that anywhere else with anybody else, but just the Palou show. But there are some good nuances. Some of the no-name drivers, if you will, showed up. So they're still good racing, I think.
Yeah, perfect segue into our normal who impressed, who disappointed. We'll start with the impressive guys. One of the guys that I kind of singled out and read a couple articles about after Ilott. You can point to maybe the highlight for Prima being the fact that they got the pole at the Indianapolis 500. But Ilott, he's showing that he's got real true potential. And this race was one where, he's able to show that even more so. and finishing it with a top 10 finish. Curious, will Prima be able to hold on to their stars that they bring up? Sometimes some of the bigger teams tend to poach the talent. And so as I like one of those guys potentially, and we talked about silly season coming up, and maybe there won't be a lot of movement, but as I like one of those guys that is impressive enough to somebody.
If you'd have asked me a month ago, I'd have said no way.
Right.
He was really struggling, and I'll go back to Iowa. I remember coming after Iowa, those 2 races in Iowa. He wrecked in both those races, but he got really aggressive, and he was moving out, moving up in both races before he wrecked, and he's followed it up since then with 3 solid finishes. And part of that may be the fact that he knew his butt was on the line, right? Like he wasn't getting it done. They've got a lot of money. They don't need to. They can pay out a contract and move on. Keith, I think the difference there between Prima and the Juncos and Carpenter and Coyne is Prima does have the funding behind them, so they can keep guys, and those guys probably trust that Prima is going to continue to develop their program. So I don't see them as kind of that stepping stone. I see it as if you can lock on there, you're gonna be there for a while.
So if drivers were to move, it'd probably be more off prestige than it would be off of profit.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And I mean, Prima, they don't have any pressure. They're new guy in town. They're making a little bit of noise, more noise than you probably thought they would at the beginning of the season. You mentioned the 500 pole. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing the things right. I think little bit by little bit, but Ilott is a huge standout, and he's been in the series before, but that's still a new team. A 9th, I think. Did he finish 9th? I think
6th.
6th. Okay. Yeah. So awesome result. For me, I thought it was Rasmussen more just it's an ECR car. If anything else, they're just not known to run those, man. So I don't know much about him other than he's making a little bit of a name for himself, good and bad in the paddock. To put an ECR car in the top, that's who I was thinking of. 9th was Rasmussen. An ECR car on a road course, huge, I think.
Yeah.
Carpenter has to be happy as hell.
He's got the resume, right? Like coming up through the ladder series, like he was Kyle Kirkwood after Kyle Kirkwood. So he made a name for himself in that way, but IndyCar fans don't know him. But he is, and elbows out. Like when I think elbows out now, it's Rasmussen, because if he's on your tail, you better get nervous, because he's not afraid of making contact and coming through.
More and more he is turning into this. Oh wow, this guy can actually race. Somebody you would need to be watching out for, not just he got a top 8 this week. Good job. All right, we'll see you at 23rd next week. So he's probably the most exciting one for me to watch for the rest of the season.
Yeah, my impressed was, and it shouldn't be a shock, like road courses this year, Christian Lundgaard has been really fast, and he showed it again. Like we've talked about it, get him off the ovals and get him onto the road circuits, and if Palou wasn't in that race, Lundgaard would have dominated it. He had the second best car out there, and he could drive it. So that was my impressed for this week.
Yep.
All right. So one, we said honorable mention, and primarily because he actually finished the race, and the finish was a respectable one. So the number 3 team of Scott McLaughlin has to be happy going into a little bit of a break that they did some good things on the track.
Yeah, and you've got another road course coming up, which 33s are good at. And then you get 2 ovals, and we know Penske's been strong there. So there's an opportunity for, I know that we all kind of looked at McLaughlin as being a championship contender to start the season. Maybe he can finish that way this year, and then maybe that kind of jump starts him into next season.
Yeah. Nothing much to add. He can do it. let's see. It would be interesting to watch him too. These next few races.
Yeah. And so that moves us on to disappointments. We'll let you guys start and I'll finish off.
Well, I'll jump in and I'm going to do it the second week in a row. I'm not going to name a driver. I'm going to go after IndyCar again, and that would be Ari Lyondike and those guys making the officials that are making the calls, because what they did with Marcus Ericsson sitting on the track in a blind spot for over a minute and a half with cars flying by him without calling a caution or throwing a yellow flag. I know there was a local yellow, but that's dangerous, and somebody's going to end up getting really hurt or die if that in that situation. I understand what their rationale. Sometimes they're trying to give everybody a chance to pit. Sometimes they're trying to give guys a chance to stay on the lead lap or get their car restarted. But man, when somebody wrecks and they're in a dangerous position, you got to throw that yellow.
Right? Has it ever been like that though? In the 90s and early if somebody wrecked, somebody wrecked.
Right. Throw the yellow. Like, hey, if you get caught out, it's luck.
That's the name of the game, right?
I'd rather see bad luck than something bad happen to a driver.
Yeah, and surely they have more camera angles and more radio communication than we probably will ever know. But still, it just never seems like that was the standard until. I mean, they literally want the leaders to be able to pit.
Yeah.
You got a short pit. That's the name. They talk about it every broadcast. Like, oh, if you don't pit now and the yellow comes out here, it's just racing.
Yeah. I almost want to go back and look at Lyondike and Oriol Servia's history to see, like, did they get screwed a couple times in races because they didn't pit, and so they don't want that to happen to somebody else? I don't know. It's weird, but that's my disappointment from this weekend.
No, I agree. Mine is probably Kirkwood. That I know he got in the back of BK, and you're braking 70 feet earlier, and you're doing the last lap. Man, you don't need to be running back there. So he's. I think you'll see in our rankings kind of falling down a little bit. I struggled putting him where I did. He was hot there for a minute, right? He was number 2. So that's my biggest. I mean, he's just, especially with the other cars, those other Andretti cars ran fine.
Well, and I want to go back and look too. And you say that, like, how he's been struggling lately. If I remember right, this was how he went through last year as well. I remember the first part of last year, he was very consistent in top 10s throughout the first half of the season, and then fell as the season went on. And this may be becoming a pattern for Kyle, and then something they might work on at Andretti.
Right. Here's my biggest one. Everybody else kind of followed suit. I know I did mention Felix. He got tied up. That wasn't his fault, but it was his fault for not qualifying second where he would have been. So it would have. That livery was awesome. Number one. That really sucks if you're the Grateful Dead and Sirius XM to go out lap 1. But it would have been cool to see him run through the field maybe. But hey, can't mess up on quals and get bumped to the back. So those are my 2 ones.
Yeah, so for me, just Ferrucci, and not necessarily so much this race because he didn't do much in the race, but he didn't qualify well either. And then really, you saw him kind of making a charge mid-season, starting with Detroit. And then since, it's kind of hills and valleys. So we're back down in the valley here. Obviously with the young driver, maybe that's to be expected. But, he was up there pushing hard for consecutive races. And, it's a guy that's kind of fun to cheer for. So you're cheering for a guy, and you see him kind of drop off the end of the earth for a couple of races. It's disappointing.
Yeah, no.
Sat on the pole last year at Portland, though. So, maybe there's something good coming.
And it shows you how competitive this series is. It's not your Ganassis and Penske's up there this year. You got one guy who's probably pretty much up there. Everybody else is a crapshoot. So
Pat, I thought for sure you were going to say Rossi, or is he just not even a disappointment anymore? Because
he isn't.
he's
I'd
where
let
you
him go.
expect. He's where you expect
Yes,
him to be.
I'd let him go. Like he's with Jacob Abel. But it's competitive series, and it's cool to see. I mean, I want Ferrucci up there more, and but the consistency is just because it's hard. You got the Felix Rosenquists that are showing a little bit of flexing their muscles, and even the Schwartzman can get up. Louis Foster. So it's cool to see that mix, and that's why I don't think Ferrucci can stay up there. It's just because there's so much competition.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to our Kelly Landscaping Ship Pit of the Week, which I think there's a couple people that we are familiar with that had a pit that kind of set him back a little bit. I don't know how much it impacted his finish of the race, but Herta was one of them that had some tough times in the pit. But otherwise, we didn't mention him in our impressive performances, but he had an impressive performance, and maybe without that pit, maybe even more so. Who's our other candidate, Brian? We got another one.
Oh yeah, Callum Ilott. Callum had a tough stop. He lost about 3 seconds, and that's not a lot. Probably we wouldn't think much about it in a typical week, but in a week where he finished 6th and he was right there with Dixon and some others, that maybe he gets his first top 5, with a good stop there. So,
I'm going off cuff. It's Herta. Team's got to be better than this. He's got to be better. Qualified 3rd, had a better car than that, and his team just keeps shitting the bed. So stamp it, boom. Kelly Landscaping Ship Pit of the Week.
It's
Hold Herta again.
There's a lot of truth there. There really is.
Especially on a week like this week, you're running really well, and your team screws you again. It doesn't matter if you're running 16th, but Callum's team, they're probably not used to that pressure. So we'll let them slide a little bit.
That's true. I'd like to know, and I don't know this, if there have been changes made to the personnel on that 26 car this year, because it's been all year long mistakes being made on pit road. It's
all self-inflicted. And that's Colton's career, it seems, man.
Yeah.
Leading the race, hits the wall, bad pit stops. The 500 a couple years ago just didn't even hit anything, and they pulled him out of the car. Like a lot of self-infliction, man. Hardly ever in a wreck, right?
Right.
Hardly ever.
Right.
So,
great driver. I mean, obviously, he's got an F1 possibility. Yep. We know he's really good on track. So,
yep.
Good call.
Yeah. So we got a week's break, and so we're going to kind of separate things up and go outside of our normal format, since the biggest impact on our power rankings was this race, and we got another week for another race. We're going to include our power rankings and the post-race reaction. So we've all submitted our votes, and Brian's done the tabulation. Brian, what have you got for us on power rankings?
Yeah. So this is what race? What is this? 14? 13? 13?
I think 13.
14, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this is the first race that afterwards we had the same top 10, all 3 of us. So the same top 10 drivers, not in order, but the same 10 drivers made all 3 of our top 10. So when we average those out, our top 4 stayed the same. Obviously, Palou, we talked last week that Award was narrowing that gap. Well, Alex just widened it back out. So Palou at number 1, Pato Award at number 2, Scott Dixon, Mr. Consistency, I think 1 win on the season, but he's sitting in 3rd. Marcus Armstrong still in 4th place for us. Just continues to be consistent. We just talked about him. We talked to the team's letting him down, but Colton Herta is in our top 5. Like, he came in 5th this week. And then Kyle Kirkwood dropped down to 6th. There's a guy that was 2nd for most of the season for us. Old Willie P, Will Power comes in at 7th. Christian Lundgaard, we were a little bit mixed on this, but he's on there at number 8. Felix Rosenquist at number 9. I think some of that's helped out by that Grateful Dead livery. And hanging on to the bottom of the top 10 is David Malukas. So,
yeah, that top 4 is easy. Just seal it, stamp it, whatever. After that, you could probably those bottom 4-ish. Like, remember Malukas was probably top 5 there for a minute. Power's kind of always been in that middle section. Armstrong is creeping his way up to the top. So
I think we do have some explaining to do because Christian Lundgaard, I did rank him a lot higher than where he fell. But for a guy who's 5th in the points and had such a good finish this week and has got another road course in front of him, he may be one of those guys next week that we say, oh, we've got to move him back up because I already had him creeping up a little bit.
Yeah, but then there are 2 ovals coming, Keith. So I'm gonna
but our power rankings are based off the last race.
Put him in the top 5. I just can't do
it.
What I think is weird is who's not in our top 10. No McLaughlin, no Newgarden.
We would have been
Rossi. No,
we would have lost a lot of money. Saying that. I mean, you could maybe put one of the Penske guys out, but probably not. So no, yeah. I mean,
you thought it was easy money if someone was going to give you money for 3 of those Penske drivers to finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like easy money.
1,000,000%. And to have some of these other guys, we can get into silly season maybe next episode, but rumblings of where VK might go next season and who has a seat open, who is it a better fit? Is it again, don't want to get into it, but a lot of opportunities, but not many at the same time with open seats.
Right. So I guess that wraps up. Oh, you know what I did do? I had a major faux pas to start this episode.
I was wondering.
We did not go and have our historian perspective, our normal segment for the relevance of the number 34. So for those of you guys that got to this point and thought you were going to miss that,
thanks for hanging on.
Thanks for hanging on. We caught it at the end. So Brian, you get to close us out, Professor Dinwiddie, with the relevance.
Some people love this. It's the only reason some people listen.
That's why you put it at the end.
I'm sure that's a fact, Pat. Actually, this one would have been all right to skip because this one I had to go deep into history books on this one.
All right, I like this.
Walter Payton.
Yeah. So the number 34 has won the Indianapolis 500, but it was in 1932. Okay. Guy by the name of Fred Frame. Fred Frame won the 1932 Indianapolis 500 driving the number 34. Bill Cummins won the 1934 500, which this is why I pulled this one up. 2 things about that race. One, it was the closest finish at that point, and he won by 27 seconds. And number 2, in 1934, today we have the 4-lap qualifying runs. Then it was 10 laps. So they had to show performance over 10 qualifying laps. Think about what that Fast Friday or that Sunday pole day would have looked like in turn 4.
You got to bring a couple cases of beer that day. Sorry, honey. I'll see you on Tuesday.
So the number 34, that's what I could find as far as its significance to IndyCar and the Indy 500.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, that's
27
good
seconds.
27 seconds.
Sometimes the more obscure stuff is the more fun stuff.
I like that. Yeah,
when we know what you're going to say beforehand and we all know the history, that's not any fun. Yeah, we want to dig deep.
Nice job. Very
so
cool.
I got a question for you before we close.
Okay.
Does Alex Palou get to 10 wins? Foyt did it in 64. Unser did it in 1970. Does Alex he's got 8. He's got 3 races left. Does he get to 10?
So you have.
I'm going to say no because 2 out of the 3 are ovals. And it's not that he can't perform. He can't perform there, but the other guys are more competitive with him there.
I'm going to say yes. Portland, it's his second best track, probably. And what he do in Iowa?
He won the second one.
The second one, right? So that's very Nashville-esque. Milwaukee's just a flat oval. Nashville is a lot more like Milwaukee, or a lot more like Iowa. I'm going to say yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd bet on it.
Interesting fact I heard, and I don't know if it was Kevin Lee that said it, that all the guys that have won at least 8 races in a season. So Al Jr., Mario, Al Sr., AJ, in those seasons, they also won the 500.
Yeah.
So
that's the stamp of a pro. I keep saying stamp today. But that's the one. You can win 9 races, but if you don't win the 500, it's not that cool. So, yeah, no, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
What do you
think? We got one of each. We'll see what happens.
They're going to watch history be made, and it could come down to the last race in Nashville.
Absolutely.
That could maybe boil up some anticipation.
I mean, it could come down where that's his 11th win, and that's never been done. 10 is the most. And there's one exception to that. A year they ran 77 races, but Ted Horn won 19 of the 71 races that year.
There's a couple asterisks on that season, on that record.
Yeah. Well, only I think what I read on that is that only 4 of those races were over 100 miles. And one of those races was actually a 4-mile race.
Wow.
It'd be really boring on podcasts. So if we have that. Okay. Well, here's a 2-minute episode. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I like it.
All right. Well, once again, thank you guys for joining us on Checkered Shorts, and catch back up with us for episode 35 next week when we preview the race in Portland.
See y'all.
See ya.
Have a great week.